Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to this week's Productive Agent Podcast. My name is Tony Ruiz. I'm the founder and host of the Productive Agent Podcast and Facebook group. Today, I'm joined again by my good friend and unofficial co-host, Shane Tokheim. How's it going, man?
That's going really good. I don't know when we're going to make it official, but I guess
eventually. Yeah, you have to do so many before.
What,
what are we up to, like number 5, number 6, something like that?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
We're probably getting pretty close.
Yeah. No, I like unofficial.
I like the unofficial. Yeah.
I'm afraid of commitment, so we'll just keep it like that.
That's a whole nother podcast right there.
Yeah, right.
But we are just wrapping up. We're actually in week 3 of our accountability group. And I just wanted to hop on here and kind of pick your brain a little bit, talk a little bit about what I've learned, what you've learned, some different stories from different agents that we could pass along, and hopefully like inspire some people to go like, oh, I like that, what I'm gonna do. So how are you liking it so far? How do you like the accountability group?
I do. I like it. It's funny. Last time, or, I've been doing this for I don't know how long now, but anyway, I keep on saying in the last one that I don't feel like I'm helping you enough. I don't know if I told you in that group, in your group, but I know I said it in Ashley's group, and I've said it several times, and I think it was because we weren't high accountability like we are this time. But even now, I'm not sure it's even high enough accountability, you know? But I love it. It's always, I don't want to say shocking, but I'm a little shocked that people need it as much as they do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think that's why we see the failure rate so darn high. I think we have so many people that need it, won't admit it, and then just kind of fail in a way. I know that I was dreading it. I was not looking forward to it. And I was almost felt kind of like forced into it. Like, hey, you're in this group. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I felt like, I was like, oh shit, I don't want to be, the bottom one, right? Like just like not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's really kind of motivated me to go, oh shit, tomorrow I gotta, who did I contact? Let me fill out my greatness tracker. It's really kind of pushed me to live up to what I say I'm going to do. Yeah. So I know it's helped out.
I think this next week I'm gonna have everybody hold up their sheet and just say like, this is what I did, and just show it, everybody.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I like it. Because we talked about that. The first week was great, and it was just kind of establishing what we're doing. We all kind of agreed to, we're going to do 15 touches. And everybody's like, yeah, sounds great. And then like immediately we had individuals, I don't know what that was, but I think we're still good. So we had individuals, contacting you mainly because you're obviously the leader of the group and going, hey man, I'm going to do less than that. And it's like, that's fine, because the whole thing when we said at the very beginning is like, you make your own, whatever it is, whatever your goal is, so you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think a few people wanted to shift more, not necessarily less context, just how they contact via text or phone call, which, I always let people off the hook, and that's probably part of the problem, because I want them to be there and enjoy it. But more than that, I want them to be there and be successful. And so I really should stop letting people off the hook, because I think the phone calls are important. And that's what we discussed last week, or just yesterday in the group. And, my big thing is, and you're like, it was totally different, only exactly the same, which is, contradictory, but it kind of matters what the first quote that I put up, and we kind of decided that taking massive action. I don't know. Do you have intentional massive?
Success is to take massive determined action.
Yes, massive determined, and the determining factor is how are you going to take that action? And so, that's kind of where we have a difference in opinion, I guess.
Yeah,
or comfortability. More so.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody's business is slightly different, all right? But it still comes back to really staying in flow. And I think that's the most important thing is you're not necessarily, hey, I'm going to call 15 people and ask them if I'm going to buy or sell.
Right.
It's just like, no, I'm part of mine, and something that I'm pretty proud of the past several weeks. I've been pretty consistent with flow on social media, right? So now all of a sudden those people are in flow with me. and then I post like a property of the day today, and like this person that I haven't talked to in years liked it.
Yeah.
Right. Of course you're going to be like, well, why haven't you called them? And it's like, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not that aggressive about getting on the phone. Oh, you liked my post. Well, why'd you like my post? But I definitely noticed it. It kind of brought that person's name kind of towards the top of my thought process. And again, staying in flow with that. And because when you are in flow, boom, they know that you're in real estate. They should know.
Yeah, they
right?
should.
And good things come from that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's always interesting to me too. Like, you've done this, Alan. Sometimes when I sit down with somebody that's known me for years, and then they say like, I had this great idea, like the birthday campaign. I'm like, well, what do you mean you had a great idea? But we've been talking about that for years, literally.
Yeah.
So like, I know this is coming up, but somebody called me yesterday, and he says like, hey, so how's this birthday campaign work? So he didn't say he hadn't heard of it or he had a great idea. He's just like, how's it work? And in my mind, I'm like, how's it work? I've said this, but that's okay. I mean, I'm glad he's calling and asking. And so then he gets into, I tell him like, well, if it's me, it's not, but if it was me, I'd have my spreadsheet and I'd have a column for birthdays so I can organize them by the date. And on the 15th of every month, I'd organize them for the next month, and I'd sit down for 30 minutes and write out every single birthday card on that one 30-minute time slot. And then I'd mark them all with the date, and 4 or 5 days before the birthday, I'd send them out. He says, oh yeah, that's good. And he goes, but how do I get their birthdays? And I go, well, there you go. That's where people have the difference of opinion. And me, I think you should call everybody, and ask them when their birthday is. Yeah. Say, I had this great meeting, with Tony and Shane and, our group, and we had an idea to come up with a birthday campaign. And so that's what I'm doing. When's your birthday? That's easy to say. And I don't understand why anybody's afraid to do that, because it's a genuine question. It's a caring question, and you're basically saying, I'm going to send you something on your birthday because I care about you. When is your birthday?
No, I really like it. And it's funny how I had an appointment right after our meeting yesterday, and I jetted out of there quickly. And I told him, I said, I have an appointment with my coach. And they asked me like, oh, what kind of coach do you have? I was like, oh, it's a business coach and a business meeting to help me grow my business. And, people find that interesting, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, So I think that is an easy conversation to pick up the phone, even if you haven't talked to anybody. Well, hey, I just had this idea. It just came out of this coaching program. We're starting this thing called a birthday campaign, whatever it is. Got all kinds of sounds going off today, but whatever. So yeah, I mean, people find interest in that. Just drop that. Say, even if you're not in a coaching program or not in this, just say like, hey, I was just listening to these guys on this podcast that mentioned this. And then it's like, oh, really cool. And it creates interest.
Yeah, it does. And then of course the other way to do it is just Facebook stalk them, which is fine too. But why wouldn't you call them and say like, hey, I'm going to be sending you something on your birthday? I mean, people be flattered by that and excited about it and remember you. And then when you do it, then they're like, oh yeah, he said he was going to, and then he really did. So,
I know we disagree a little bit on this, but I like to think of my sphere like on different levels. Sure. So obviously the people that I'm really close to, like I'm calling them, I'm sending them a video message. But I see some people that I haven't really been in contact with frequently on my social media. A lot of like past students, right? That I'm not like super close to, but they follow me and we follow each other. But what I really like is I go through the social media and I drop comments on that, and they're legit. Like if you're listening, like it's legit. I do care about you, and I wish you a happy birthday and all these things. But it's also kind of fires up the algorithm to where now we're in flow. And I swear, like before I really started digging into this, 3 weeks ago, I'd get on my Facebook and it was nothing but real estate, realtor, lender, title. Like it was just filled with those people, right? Of course, those people are great to have and great to be friends with, but they're not going to drive my sales business.
Exactly.
Right. So I purposely don't really comment or like their stuff. I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm trying to stir up the algorithm of my people that are doing sales or renting or whatever they're doing. And now all of a sudden it's almost flipped to where I see a lot more of my people rather than the realtor people.
You know what I like about that? It's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? If I were you, if there's any title people on yours, I'd just delete them.
But then I bump into them and they're like, oh, I thought we were friends. And they're like, well,
We're not.
there's a reason you're saying that.
Yeah,
He's a title guy
yeah.
too. But no, and it's funny, and I've known this for quite a while. And I said, okay, we have a 6-week, accountability group. It's only 6 weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like committing to a workout program. It's like, okay, commit to 6 weeks, do the work, and let's see what the hell happens, right? It could only probably be good.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's bad, then at least we know it's bad, right? It didn't work. But it's like, surely something's going to get
Surely.
So it's like, okay, well, let's just commit to it. And I did, right? And my Monday was full. My Tuesday was full. Wednesday, I was distracted by friends and filled out about 60% of it. Thursday, I came back. It was super full. And then Friday, Saturday, I had some big appointments that took longer than I thought. So I was a little bit distracted, but tried to catch up some on the weekend. And this is the most full greatness tracker I've had in a while. And it's not 100%, by the way. It's probably 70%-ish. All right. But holy crap, it stirred up a whole bunch of business in 1 week. And I was like, and I've always known that. And anytime that I sit down and commit to doing these things, being intentional again, it's just like I had so much work to do that my second week wasn't as productive on the greatness tracker, just because I was busy doing the things, doing the showings, writing up contracts. I had a closing, I had inspections, I had to follow up with things. But like just managing the time. But if you're finding yourself in a rut, if you just commit to these like 5 things or whatever those things are and do it for 1 week, just same thing as working out, right? Commit to 1 week of working out and you're going to feel sore. It's going to be tough. You're going to get through it, but your business and your health is going to be better.
For sure. I think the busier you get, the more organized you got to get, for sure. Because, let's be honest, there's enough time to do it all.
Yeah.
You just got to be super structured and organized and prepared.
Yeah.
The preparation will help you stay on track with your calls and texts because you'll know who you're going to call and text. So you're not, that's the hardest part. Generally, you're like, oh shit, who am I going to call? And so if you don't have that list with you, we talked about that, having it with us. I did my whole list the other day, like a month, 2 months ago or whatever. I was talking to you about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't save it. So I have it printed out and I don't have it
typed out.
Ah. Can you believe that? So
well, you know why?
Why?
It's because you haven't switched over to Google Docs.
Yeah, exactly. And I looked for it in Google Docs and I was like, oh my God. So anyway, don't forget to save. But so what do you think I did? So I go out to my car and I get the physical sheet and I'm looking at it and there's 100 and maybe more, like, I don't know. There's a total of like 330 names on it. I'm like, seriously, I got to retype this whole thing? And of course, Joanne says like, I'll do it for you. I'm like, no, that'll take way too long.
Yeah.
So what do you think I do? How I exampled the Siri in class?
Yeah.
So I just start reading it and I emailed it to myself and then I copied and pasted it. Saved myself probably freaking hours.
You read it into what?
I read it into my
into Siri?
into an email. I emailed myself. I would say Tony Ruiz, new line. Simon Ortiz, new line. Justin Nutley, new line, like and that.
Copied and pasted.
And copied and pasted it. I've saved myself.
Good. That's good.
So a little tip for you, if you ever need it.
I'm telling you, I'm loving that. I'm picking it up more and more by being around you.
Yeah.
If I'm in the car and I need a text, like I'll just click the name, click the microphone and talk.
Yep.
And then of course I'll look at it real quickly, safely, of course. All right, and be like, yep, send. Instead of me going typing one hand or whatever. And the talk to text is huge. And then something you said, like if something pops up in your head, write it down. I agree. But another thing is sometimes I just use it in my voice memos. So I hear something great on a podcast and I go, that's a great idea. So I'll turn on my voice memos and I'll just record. And I'm like, hey, Andy Frisella was talking about this on the last 8 minutes of episode, blah, blah, blah. Go take a listen to it. It's great material. And, and then I can go back to that. Yeah. And then,
on Audible, you can just hit that little button and it makes a note for you.
See, I don't listen to Audible. I
wonder if podcasts can do that too. I don't know. You should check though.
Yeah.
Because it's good. Because then you go into look at my notes on this and it's right there.
I want to go back a little bit when you talked a little bit about when you get super busy, you have to be more organized with time and blocking that out and protecting it. That's definitely what I did this past week and going into week 3. I feel better about it. And, it's hilarious is I pull up my Google Calendar here and I start plugging in, okay, I'm going to do lunch at 12, right? I'm going to do, my walk at 5:30. I'm doing dinner at 7, 8. I have a birthday party I'm going to on Friday. So I plug in all my stuff. And then I'm going, okay, where am I going to put my work blocks? And I put like my traditional work blocks. And if there's anything overlapping, I move it to where I can keep it, just alter it. And what I think about in here is going, I have all this stuff going on. And some people get like, oh my God, that stresses me out. But it's like, there's also a lot of white space on this calendar still. And quoting Grant Cardone, white space is the devil. Mm-hmm. All right. And so it's just like, okay, well, plug in as much as you can, and if you need to move it around and shift it around, there is time, and that's the number one excuse I use. Everybody uses, I just didn't have time to do it, or whatever it is. Find the time, schedule it, put it on the calendar, and make it happen. Or, I was driving a lot. Like you said, I had to go out to Fisher, Texas, and put a sign up and do all these things. It's like, how long is that drive? It's probably 40 minutes. Like, how many people can you call or text in 40 minutes? Yeah, I could probably go down my list and start calling some people. A lot.
Yeah. And the key to that is having the list with you.
Yeah,
for
sure.
All that is, everybody does it, me included, everybody. It's excuses. We all have plenty of damn time. It's so untrue. And, you should have on there, practice my golf swing in my living room. Because you really need that. I mean, but like literally everything should be on your calendar, and you're so much more likely to do it. I think I told you, like, you're 80% more, or no, 50% more likely. But if you share it with a friend, then you're 80% more likely. Yeah. You just got to put it on there. I'd say, I don't know what other questions you have about the group, but I think one of the things I noticed, like yesterday, Justin brought up a good topic of reason to call people. Or people you could call, I guess it was, your past coworkers, remember? And everybody was doing just like that. Like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. And people I could see like just bing, 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 thoughts going off in everybody's head. And everybody's like, yeah. You can see people thinking of past coworkers. And so I'm like, okay, but why aren't you writing it down? I mean, write these down. I think that's what people they overestimate their memory, and it just ain't going to happen. Like me included. I remember one time we talked about, I was driving out here and thought of a great topic for the podcast. By the time I got here, I forgot about it. I could not remember. Anyway, write stuff down. Get organized. Everything should be written down. Everything should be in your calendar. Your database should be written down. You should have it with you so you can review it all the time. All those things are going to help you not fail. That's the key. What was it this week I sent out? The key is to win every day, or something like that. Oh, speaking of that, Ed Milet, I'm reading that book right now. That book's incredible. The Power of One More. I think he talks about that, or who was that by? Yeah, that was Ed Milet, that quote. Yeah. Power of One More. You just want to win every day, which is, if you have 10 things on your to-do list, I guess winning could be 60% or 70, depending on, but of course, if you did them all, then you crush the day. But if you just win the day, you're going to be better off than you were. But if you don't have the list, how are you going to know if you won or lost? You could be sitting there playing video games all day and not get anything done because you didn't think of anything to do. So you're like, oh, I had a good day. No, you didn't.
Yeah. That brings up a great point that I wanted to touch on, was that, maybe you did have a really busy day, right? And I had several busy days last week, and I was running around and making calls, doing different things. But for my greatness tracker, what I try to hold myself accountable to these are my people, my buyers and sellers, my sphere, my clients. So if I'm calling you, your name's not on here. If I'm calling, Mark Chambers, his name's not on here. If I'm calling people in the business, their name is not on here. All right. And what I like about this is, even I used to go, oh my God, I'm such a failure. I didn't fill out the greatness tracker. I had such a bad day. But it's like, hey, stuff came up, whatever, try to get back on it the next day. And then sometimes maybe you are making phone calls and you're not sitting down and being able to write it down. That's perfectly okay. maybe at the end of the day when you get home, you can fill in your greatness tracker and be like, oh, hell yeah. That's one of the best feelings, I swear, is like I come into like Starbucks the next day and I sit down and I'll pull up my phone and I'll go, who did I call yesterday? Oh, yeah, I called them, and I write them down. Oh, yeah, I called them too, and I write them down. And then I go through my text messages. Who did I contact? Oh, yeah, there's another one. And then I start seeing my blanks start filling up with names. I'm like, okay, I didn't call 10, but I called 5, and I'm doing some a little every day.
It also probably reminds you like, oh, shoot, I need to follow up. I need to do this. That's such a good, that's great. I love that. But what would be better than that is have them
already written in. Yes, I've heard this before.
You could write them in all week if you wanted to. We could do that when the show's over. But
then you have to check it off and then cross out the check off. And so, but yes, we're working to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great one. Do you have any good stories from any agents that you want to share?
It's always I guess a little shocking. I shouldn't be shocked by it because I'm not a big sharer. The only reason I share is because I'm leading the group, and so I have to lead by example, I guess. So it's always funny to me when people don't want to say out loud like they're good stories. We got a couple, that will talk, but there's a guy that apparently he's going to start the birthday campaign. I love that. Bertha's doing so good. Her lunch, campaign, I guess, is going so well. And it was almost kind of by accident where I caught her on the spur of a moment. She agreed to do something, but she'll be the first one to tell you she's getting a lot of referrals from it. So there's a lot of good stuff. I think Bianca's doing good in there. Hopefully Madi is going to pick up now. She missed last week, but even Al, everybody I think is really, it's
a good energy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good energy. Yeah, that Arthur that's new, he's going to be good, I think, for the group.
I think it's also just a really good time to. I know I look forward to it now.
Yeah,
and it's like, we've done 3 meetings, we only have 3 more, quote unquote, and it's like I kind of want to keep going.
Yeah,
like whoever wants to keep showing up, it's like, okay, if it dwindles down, it dwindles down, but it kind of holds me accountable. Like, hey, I'm out the door. I'm meeting these people at 9, and I like it's 9 to 10. We're out. Let's go get to work and do the thing.
Yeah.
It's just it kind of helps. Move.
It does.
Get yourself out of the house and go somewhere.
We need to find a way to invite more people so they can see. It for themselves, because we can talk about it, but people are still probably I don't need that, or that sounds dumb, or I don't know what they think really, because I can't think of anybody that's been there that doesn't see the value in it.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the vibe of everybody in there is really positive. It feels good.
There's good ideas.
Yeah, I think bouncing
just
things off
Justin
each other.
saying that one thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Made everybody think oh yeah, I'm really missing that whole area of my.
Yeah, that is another sphere that you could put into your entire sphere. So you mentioned that you aren't taking as long to prepare for these meetings. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I like it. I can honestly say in the last ones that were more motivational than accountable, I wanted to be motivational. So I'd spend a lot of time thinking about what I was going to say and what video I was going to show and what book I was going to listen to or what chapter and verse I was going to share, which takes time, because you want it to be good. If it's only 4 minutes, you want it to be the perfect one. So I'd be listening. Of course, I listen to books all the time, but I'm jumping around trying to find a good chapter that fits the topic that we're talking about. And so, which is all fun and good and helps me too to maintain positivity in my knowledge and everything. But now, I went up Sunday, I was literally oh shoot, I'm not ready. And then I went up there and I was I'm pretty much ready. I mean, it's because of what you said, it's organic. The first story leads to a lot of chatter or just ideas and good vibes and oh yeah, I did that too, or oh, I'm gonna do that, or so it's more of a group feel than a led by Shane feel, which is good or bad, I don't know.
No, it's going well, and it kind of motivated me to even do a little accountability group. It's via Zoom. but we're kind of all spread out with my little group here. And we've done a couple of those meetings and it's gone well. So I'm excited to kind of see that grow and their business grow, and it's, again, just encouraging more than anything. I haven't felt at all any negativity of like, oh, well, you're not doing it. You're dropping the ball. And it's like, yeah, we might say, hey, you could do more, but don't beat yourself up. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I'm real happy with it.
How are we wrapping this up? I guess we could wrap it up by inviting people to it. Reach out to Shane, reach out to me.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that your stuff is, your contact information is on the show.
Yeah.
He's a great resource. Definitely got my business going to the next level when we first met, and of course our relationship has grown, and now we do these quite a bit, and I really enjoy them. And then the group is growing, elevating each other's business to the next level. So if you're interested in something like that, I'd highly encourage you to reach out to myself or Shane, and we'll get you in contact with us and make it happen. And if you are outside of the San Antonio area and can't do that, please feel free to reach out, because the group that I'm doing also is on Zoom. So I wouldn't mind, jumping on Zoom and talking about it. And well, what are you doing? What are you planning? What do you want to do? What do you need help with? So it feels good to give back.
Yeah.
I think that's a good wrap up.
Yeah.
Well, cool, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I feel like there's a lot of value that you should have gotten out of that. Hopefully you made some notes. Maybe you should go back and re-listen to some of the things that got you thinking and jot that down. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. Of course, if you enjoy the show, I would encourage you to share the show. Do you know any friends that could use this message? And bring a friend to the group. That'd be really cool. If you could leave us a review, that really helps us grow. And we're seeing some people do that. That really helps. So go leave us a review, give us a rating, and then join our private Facebook group called The Productive Agents. And you can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And we thank you for joining us today. Now let's get out there and go.